If you know what it is, don't talk it away. If you do, then you don't understand. Hush, keep it in your doorway shut. Steer clear of sharpness and untangle the knots. Feel your lightness and let it merge with others. This, we say, is our basic oneness. The sage who does this doesn't have to worry about people called friends or enemies, with profit or loss, honor or disgrace. He is a master of life instead. This is a nice reminder here in the 56th verse of the Tao, as we're coming closer and closer to that 81st and final verse. A nice reminder that prioritizing, being a master of life, is truly what much of the Tao is about and is a common through thread from verse 1 to verse 81. The mastery here is multifaceted and it is deep. And that's why oftentimes in the Tao, verses will essentially be talking about a subject that it's discussed previously, maybe even multiple times. Sometimes there's even these chunks of like 4 to 6 verses that are all basically saying the same thing, but they are so complex in their simplicity, meaning people tend to view what is otherwise a relatively simple endeavor as being incredibly difficult to achieve. And so what the Tao is doing in these chunks or in these repetitive verses is finding different ways to try to get at the same truth in the hopes that it will one of those will resonate with you. And so maybe the 5 of the 6 are lost. But if that one of the 6 makes sense to you, then it already encompasses all of the other 5 anyway. And even if you can't read the verse and extract the truth from it, as long as you got the verse from that one, then you can understand the rest of it. And here is, like I say, sort of a very on the nose line. He is a master of life instead. Prioritize your pursuit of, or maybe even you're just giving way to, or realigning toward, or tearing down the barriers against you being a master of life, and prioritize that above anything else, above any type of worry that you have. Worry about what your friends are doing, what you think that your enemies could be doing. Worry about if you are profiting from something or if you are losing something. And worry about if you are in a place of honor and prestige and clout and sway, right? Do you have that, or are you perceived as one of the lowly people, one of the people who is just easily pushed around and just sort of is, I guess in modern odd language you would call it, one of the sheeple, right? Are you disgraced in that sense? You can focus on those things and they can be priorities that you take up every day. Or you can say, my priority is becoming a master of life. And if my priority is becoming a master of life, I don't really have time to spend on those other things. And don't let small chunks of time repeated over the course of a day or of a year or of a lifetime fool you. I think sometimes we can think, okay, I'm just going to carve out a little bit of time to worry about my friends and enemies, or a little bit of time to worry about if I'm winning or losing, or a little bit of time to think, am I climbing the corporate ladder or the societal ladder, or am I losing ground in those things? But that little bit of time on that one thing expands. And not only could it expand with that one thing that you're worried about or thinking about, but what could happen is even if you stick to that, hey, I'm just going to think about this for 5 minutes, I'm just going to worry about this for 5 minutes. But then if you do that with a dozen things or hundreds of things, if you look into some of the research, how many thoughts people have in a given day, Just go and Google that. Look that up and find out how many thoughts people have in a typical day. And if you even think that a percentage of that, a fraction of that is a worry, then don't be fooled by just thinking that you can worry about something for a short period of time, but it's not your priority. Because what happens is that you either have that worry over and over and over again, you don't realize it, or it is confined to a short period of time, but you have many of them. You have many different worries that are sort of end up taking the priority instead of becoming a master of your life. And so consider examining ways that you can prioritize above all else becoming a master of your life. Shut your doorway, steer clear, and untangle the knots. Think of these things as ways in which you are not just neglecting certain things for a distinct reason, but that you are proactively addressing the mastery of your own life instead.